78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winsome. I'm checking that again. 78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winsome. It's another Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday. The sun's not out cooking yet. It looks like it's getting up and getting ready. The clouds are out there. It's overcast. You can still see the blue sky. It's that really beautiful light blue right now. There's no rain, and it's rain season. So it's a perfect day to get up, get out, and do something. Perfect day to be back on the radio. Hey, man, I'm really excited to be back today. We got a lot of crazy stuff going on next week, a lot of stuff that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to slow it down because me and my teammate, we're trying to translate the show afterwards. So I'm going to slow down to make the translation a lot easier. So 78.6 FM, positive vibes with Winsome. Winsome, what are you talking about today? Well, just like every Saturday, we're going to start off and say thank you to everybody who made these segments possible, everyone who is supporting the shows, supporting the invitations when we go out and visit other units, places. We have a really cool one coming up is the Headquarters Air Force Chaplain Summit. That's going to be really exciting. That is in Herbert Field, Florida. So I'll be out there teaching emotional intelligence habits. I'll be also teaching emotional intelligence, and I'll be also out there teaching happier no matter what. The happier no matter what segment, I'm really excited about that. Of course, Talent Smart has been amazing. They always have small messages for me to help deliver. Demayas Purdue, my brother's coming on, and he's provided a message for the audience about emotional intelligence as we jump into EQ and EQ habits. Now with the Happiness Studies Academy, we're talking about happier no matter what. And that is anti-fragility. That's resilience 2.0. That is coming through situations stronger, better, wiser. You hear what I'm saying? And I'm really excited to talk about that. And to assist me, support me, who's been amazing encouragement and supporter of all the lessons, is the Happiness Studies Academy. And Dr. Tal Ben Shahar himself will be there in Florida, virtual, of course, speaking to the chaplains with me. So we're going to split that segment, and he's going to take the first 30 minutes, and I'm going to roll into the activities, elaborating on these, of course, the concepts. I'm really excited about that opportunity to go out and speak life into the people who speak life into others. Imagine that, right? So we have some beautiful opportunities coming up. That one is coming up at the end of the month. We just got back. As you guys all know, we did England this year. We went down to, where was the last one? San Antonio. Wonderful audience in San Antonio. If I haven't talked to you since I've been back, that was the Inspire Conference. And you know my tagline, educate, encourage, and inspire. So we got to go to the Inspire Conference. In the room, 700 people, 2 layers. It was the coolest. If you have my Facebook, Winsome L. Cully, and you got to put the L, because if you don't, you'll be chatting with my dad, and he doesn't have the same on his page. But you see 2 floors. You see a stadium-like arena. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was a wonderful experience. The audience was so awesome, the engagement. And then we had another day where we had to go over to the O Club, the Par O Club, just as amazing. And we spoke to one of the components, which not as many people, but a lot of people. It was so great to be able to pour into others for that event at the Inspire Conference in San Antonio. I can't wait to see where we're going to be and who's going to be there next year for 2025. Can't wait to see you guys again. Heading back to Lakenheath Air Base to speak to the Mission Support Group next year, which is in England. Again, 2025. I can't wait to see what we do next. So as I gear up, got a couple of weeks, and we got Herbert Field, Florida, the Chaplain Summit. Now that's first time. I've done the other locations, know a lot of these people in the past, worked with these organizations and teams, but the chaplains, I'm so fired up. I wish you guys knew. We spoke about the Happiness Studies Academy, right? We're going to have Talent Smart support, and we also have Free Period Press that provided some free stuff for us to give away. But one of my favorite teammates, of course, to collaborate with is also Trainers Warehouse. So when we're out there teaching emotional intelligence, I got the emotional intelligence thumb ball I'm going to be throwing around, and I'm really excited about it. If you guys are looking right now, if you're watching via YouTube or whatever way you're watching, you can see the emotional intelligence thumb ball. I believe there are 32 questions. Should I say I believe there are 32 questions on this ball. So when we throw it around and people have to answer the questions, they talk to each other and not me. That is the coolest part. That's the funnest part. I just get to sit back and watch as the ball gets thrown around and people are talking. You know, of course, I'm just there to keep the energy up at that point, right? So if you've never been to one of my classes, seminars, master classes, what I'm trying to get into next year virtually, we'll do that a lot more. But we love this energy, man. So all the companies that I've been supporting, encouraging, and providing, of course, the tools for us to go out there and do these things. I want to say thank you. There are no words to express how much I appreciate what you've done for Positive Vibes Radio Show and myself as someone who has dedicated the last maybe 7 to 10 years to educating and pouring into others. So thank you for your support. Hey, so what's happening next? I told you last couple of weeks have been crazy, been moving all around, been flying in and out of Okinawa, going to all these different places. And next week, instead of me leaving and going anywhere throughout the region, my teammates are actually coming here to Okinawa to speak to our team as we teach the foundations courses. They're going to be here with us. We're going through a process as an organization, right? Day job. You guys know what I do in the daytime. So as a professional development advisor, if you call it a development advisor for the United States military, this group, we all have the same responsibilities throughout this region. So we have 5 of the brightest minds on this basis coming here to speak life into people and hopefully get them on the American Forces Network on Monday. That's the goal right now. So we can all chat it up and introduce them to the region and whoever's listening. And I wish we had time. I'd get them in here next Saturday so we can talk about things, right? But to my teammates coming down here, I can't wait to meet most of you in person. We talk a lot on virtual and go back and forth, but I get to actually see them, spend time with them as we're teaching this class to 14 senior enlisted members. I believe it's 14 right now. And we also have not just all of the development advisors, my team, my family in the region that's going to be there. We also have the Barnes Center, which is coming from the United States, 2 representatives to come actually observe how me and my brother teach this class. My brother Joe and I, we were looking at the slides, going over the course schedule. Yesterday was a very busy day, making sure we had all our stuff together. One of our teammates from throughout the region came and was chatting it up with us. So next week's going to be a busy week. It may not be the same energy when you see me next Saturday because we're teaching all week. So all day Monday through all day Friday. I think Friday we gave ourselves a little break because there's an induction ceremony going on. But for the most part, we are teaching Monday through Friday all day with the lunch breaks. And the crazy part about it is even through the lunch breaks next week, right, we have stuff that we have to do. For example, one of the most amazing opportunities that we've had in working at that job is creating an award. This is something I always want to do, never been in the position to do it, right? So we created an award called the Lighthouse Beacon Award. Now, if you guys aren't tracking my fascination with lighthouses and what a lighthouse's intention or purpose is, right, is to be a beacon of light for others, to help navigate paths, to help others reach safety. I mean, fam, come on, it speaks to me, right? So we created an award called the Lighthouse Beacon Award. We teamed with our teammates there at the Zampa Lighthouse. And you can say that either way if you Google it, Zampa with an M or Zampa with an N. Lighthouse, Zampa Misaki, if I'm saying that correctly. Lighthouse, and I love working with this team. We go buy our little gifts from them and we present them. Now this will be our second quarter doing it. We had 42 submissions, and I'm gonna tell you how amazing that is. That means that 42 supervisors and section chiefs were recognizing what their people were doing throughout this last quarter. 42. I don't know how many people get submitted for these other awards on the base, but for an award to be out there to recognize someone for doing things that are supporting the community and people, just being a person of character, right? So it's what you're doing for the military and civilian community, not what you do with your job. There's already many awards for that. But this one is just, are you being a good person? And I love that 42 people submitted for this award this quarter. Last quarter, I think we had maybe 10, right? But it picked up steam real quick because now you're starting to pay attention, not just to what people do at work, but who they are. And to me, that's the most beautiful thing because I tell everyone in uniform, there's a heartbeat behind those buttons, right? Behind those patches and badges. Every one of us is a human being. And what are you doing for others? As you guys know, I love MLK and Dr. King and his message, and that's what he was saying. Life's most urgent and persistent question is, what are you doing for others? 78.6 FM, positive vibes with Winsome. I'm really excited. If you're just tuning in, I was just mentioning how all my teammates from throughout the region are coming here so we can teach this class next week. It's going to be very, very busy week. All eyes on what we do because we're setting the pace for PACAF, this team. Really cool individuals, really great energy over online communication. So I can't wait to see it in person. What else is happening? Let me talk about it. So Lighthouse Beacon Award, visitors all week. I'm teaching. Feels good. I took my PT test. So if you guys don't know, I have to take an annual, and sometimes biannual, physical fitness test. And I did what they call the hammer run. So I'm going to tell you where I messed up. And if you're listening to me, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I drank too much caffeine before the test, right? So I wasn't planning on taking my test that day. So it's a Wednesday. Normally, the whole team knows I'm doing my PT test. I'm going to be out just in case, the old man's knees pop off, right? Just kidding. But I go out this day, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like watching other people. And that was what I spent most of my time doing. I was stretching, and I was going to go get my workout on, and I'm watching other people. And I'm like, I can do that. It's the wrong caffeine. Whatever I was drinking that morning, I'm not drinking that again because my mind went to, I could do that. Right? Like it's easy. Like it's like I'm not 45 years old trying to come out here and do this PT test. So I go out here and I knock the push-ups out, I knock the sit-ups out, and I'm ready for what they call the hammer run. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with what the hammer run is, the hammer run is kind of like if you were in school and they do the suicides in the basketball court where you run up and down, right? Up and down, up and down. Now, it's a lot slower paced and it speeds up as the test progresses. But I was ready mentally. I was probably ready physically. But because I drank too much caffeine that morning, my heart rate, oh, man, that was kind of scary. So, of course, I passed, right? I knew I would not pass, but I kept myself to a restraint. I was like, I'm not going to go beyond this point, this threshold, because I want to put myself at risk with my heart rate being this high, right? And a lot of that came down to self-awareness. I know me. I know if I came out here cold or a sip of coffee or something, I'd be all right, but I drank too much caffeine that morning. And it kind of made me really think about a lot of things. Like, is it really worth it? Is coming out here trying to get 100 and an excellent on this test worth my life or worth the hospital visit or worth the fear of my heart not cooperating? I didn't want to risk that. And the crazy part is that gets in your head. And you guys might not realize it, but as you're running, like if you're playing sports, if you're distracted by those thoughts, you're not going to give your all because now your attention is on whatever your mind's going on, right? So I'm running. I was feeling good too. My back, my legs, everything. I'm feeling good. But my heart. And then my mind was thinking about the heartbeat, and I was like, my heart rate's too high. I don't want so really the distractions were there because I didn't take all the preparations, right? It came down to a lot of self-awareness, and I was thinking I shouldn't drink so much caffeine this morning, right? But I passed. I ain't got to worry about that bad boy again until November. Getting ready for it. And we'll be better, and I know now how to walk in there and be prepared for it. This is probably, in November, will be my last one. My last Air Force physical fitness test, unless my next job as a civilian man requires me to do something along those lines of fitness. But I'm excited about it. I'm already got it in my head. I'm going to knock it out, get above a 90. Don't have to worry about that bad boy again. Retire, grow my beard back out, like you picture the whole thing, right? So 78.6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome. This was an opportunity for me to run my mouth and say thank you to Talent Smart, to Free Period Press, to Trainers Warehouse, and of course, to Dr. Tal Ben Shahar and the Happiness Studies Academy. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you soon. .6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome. Often imitated, never duplicated. This is what we do every Saturday. I'm excited to be back in the air, back on the air. One of my friends this week, CJ Olson, we were doing the Master Resiliency Trainer and Resiliency Training Assistants meeting. So that's when all the MRTs and RTAs in the region, let me go back because the video wasn't on. So as I was saying, so this week was pretty cool. We had a meeting with all of the master resiliency trainers and all the resiliency trainer assistants in the region. And one of my friends who was running that meeting, CJ Olson, big sis. And CJ said something, Winsome is one of those guys you can put him in front of a crowd, you can give him any topic, and he can just go out there and talk about it. It's false. And I'm going to say that. That's false. Winsome, I am very uncomfortable if I'm not in love with the material. And I'm going to say that because I love her. I'm very uncomfortable if I'm not in love with the material. I can't. And I get very frustrated when people throw stuff at me and just tell me to talk. It's really one of my pet peeves. And literally when we're going and traveling and going to units and doing things, people don't understand how much time I'll spend on one slide. Like, it's insane. Like, one slide just to make sure, the pacing, the timing, the emotion. One of my mentors told me, he said, you have to be in love with the material because you want these briefings, these seminars, these speaking opportunities. You want people to feel them. You don't want to just go out there and just talk, run your mouth, and just spit randomness. And people listen, they hear you. One of my teammates the other day, we were on tour here in Okinawa or Yomatan, and he was speaking, and he spoke on a topic when it came to IQ. And I saw the guy, when he was teaching it, I saw the guy write down the notes. And then after the dude stayed behind, it was like, hey, the age that you said that IQ is set is here. But I've been taught that it's here. Like, literally, he called my man out. And for me, that spoke volumes. I'm like, these people, they listen. And when you go in these rooms and when you speak and when you're trying to, especially for what we teach, when you're trying to speak life into people, you got to be in love with the material. And then if you're comfortable, when you're in love with the material, you're in love with the information, you really understand it, you feel it, you connect with it, then you can share that with others. I love them. They recognize some of us, the wing lead resiliency trainers. We have a wonderful opportunity to prepare other people to be better than us in leading when it comes to resiliency and such as self-awareness, emotional intelligence, all of these things that we teach. And I'm really excited to be a part of that team because we are able to do things that a lot of bases may not be doing. A lot of bases may not think about. Classes that may not be created yet. We thought about it from an emotional perspective, and should I say a perspective of if I was on the other end, what classes would I want to attend? And CJ, she attended the Emotional Intelligence Habits class that we just did. And Emotional Intelligence Habits is one of those classes like when the book dropped, And I still remember the date. You guys can Google it and fact check me. When a book dropped on August 29th of last year, I copped it. I had already pre-ordered it. I wanted to see what Dr. Bradbury was dropping. I said, let me see. What's the emotional intelligence message of the year, right? So we got into EQ habits, and EQ habits took us into a whole pivot of different ways to measure your EQ, and not just to measure your EQ, but how to be emotionally intelligent with others. Not just being emotionally intelligent with others, but how to see yourself as an individual human being. Your every single day, when you wake up in the morning, when you look outside, what do you see? Are you taking your life for granted? Are you happy? Are you living a life of purpose? This book did all that. This book did all of that in one. And I was like, wow. And people probably aren't going to get past the front half of this book thinking it's all just data-driven, EQ-driven material. But no, when you get to the EQ at work, let me tell you something. That's literally where I started our seminar, EQ at work. And meaning that's putting EQ into action. The stories in there, the actual examples I'm able to pull from these concepts and able to connect the audience to it, right? The folks who took time to do videos for us to make sure we covered on these topics like mindfulness, like work-life balance, which I call, and I love to make sure we kind of fine-tune that to work-life harmony, right? These are all things that are talked about in EQ habits, man. So she got to attend that, my friend. We got recognized for our efforts over the last year. I love this group. I love this team. I love what we do. We run the resiliency program together. We are the integrated resiliency team. But just to go back to the point of bringing all of this up, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that likes to get out in front if I'm not in love with the material. Now, I'm excited. And I say that with passion. I'm excited. If it's something I'm excited about, information that I love, oh, man, don't. And ask my brother Joe, who teaches with me. There are lessons that I'll be like, man, you got that. You know, and you would think that you can just give me a whole slide deck and I'll just redo the whole thing. No, there's something I'll be like, I'm not feeling that. I'm not going to say those out loud right now because if you got to attend those classes with me, I don't want you to think, oh, man, he don't even feel this. But no, there's some that we have to teach. And I'm like, it's not my thing. It's not my jam. But the funny thing is I had a teammate who I trust to provide feedback to me. And she said, I can tell that you weren't feeling that. And I said, what do you mean? She said, it didn't have the same energy. It didn't have the same I guess your same essence is what she was trying to tell me. And I was like, what do you mean that lesson didn't have the same energy or essence? Break that down for me and help me understand so I know if it's something I'm not feeling. Not that I want to fake it, but I don't want people to know this dude is not really feeling this material. And she gave me some really good examples. She was like, you know, in your classes that you love, that you're really connected to, you ensure the energy in the room is on point, is good. She said on these, you're more focused on the material and making sure that you got those points covered down and you're not really tracking the energy in the room like you normally do. I was like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. She's like, yeah, that's how you do it when you're not connected to the material. So if anybody is inviting me to teach something and I'm going away from my comfort zone, meaning it's not something that I'm comfortable teaching or I'm not excited about teaching, and especially if I'm not teaching it at home, where I can kind of manipulate the environment a little bit, I don't accept those invitations often. You know, I try to pass them on to somebody who might be a better pick. I don't want to fake it. And I've learned to say no. You know, probably at a younger stage, I say yes a lot to everything. But in these circumstances, in this situation, I've learned to say no. We're talking about a couple of things today. That's self-awareness. It's not even the topic today. What I wanted to cover down on was character. Now, how do I get around all that to get back to character? Honestly, I don't, so I'll start now. There's some points of character that really stand out to me. And there's three that you get down to the list of character traits. There's three that I want to make sure I cover down on today. Now, this is never scripted, right? But I did take some notes down because I didn't want to forget the order. And I'm going to kind of reverse order from what I originally written down. When it comes to character, the first one that I want to talk about is responsibility. Responsibility ties into accountability, right? So accountability, and it's funny because a lot of people will not take accountability for their life if it's going bad. but the world takes accountability for their world and life when it's going good. What does that mean, Winston? That doesn't make sense. I will peep this out. Facebook, Instagram, any social media outlet you want to talk about, TikTok. It's all the happy things, all the great things, right? I've seen so many stories, so many people that if you go to their same page where they're going through challenges or something negative in their life, you don't see them. You don't see them telling a story or having the same energy with approaching it or showing you how they champion that scenario or situation, right? A lot of people don't accept that it happened to them or that they had any fault in what happened to them. And I'm not that guy that likes conflict or what do you call that, conspiracy. So I'm not gonna say names on my show. But I'll say there's a lot of famous people doing important things right now that have gone through some crazy stuff this past year, for example. And they'll always point the finger at others instead of inward, right? Mama always taught me every time you point one finger out, there's 4 pointing back at you, or 3 pointing back at you, whatever it is, right? So it's a problem with accountability is a lot of people don't want to take accountability for their actions. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and this morning, 3 a.m, because we was both up, and I told him, I said, man, what you doing up? He said, what you doing up? And we were talking about a story of an individual who left this mission after doing some interesting things. But from the moment he probably out-processed, got on the plane and flew out, he was still pointing the finger at everybody else instead of pointing the finger back inward. Never accepting responsibility for his own actions and situations. So that person or those people who cannot accept accountability for their own actions, that is a question on their character. Listen to me and how this all ties in. Those people who can't take accountability, even on a team, as a leader, if one of my people messes up, one of my people makes a mistake, I train that person. Guess what? Part of the blame is on me. And I teach that. So if I'm over here and one of my guys that I train to do a mission or to do a job mess up, makes a mistake, and I train that person, I'm part of the problem. So the first thing to take accountability is I need to look at the way I trained them. Is it something I did wrong, something I didn't show them, something that I could, before I jump on them? Because if I'm doing that, that's also showing them you got to take responsibility for your role in all of this, not just that person, right? Not just a situation, and then start to point the finger. A lot of people struggle with that, with taking accountability for their actions. Relationships. Listen to me. We talk about work, so let's talk about relationships. I sit down all the time with individuals who love to point the finger at their significant other, but they refuse to point the finger in. So I ask those questions. Cool. What could you have done in that situation differently? Or let me say it like this. What could you have done differently in that situation? So what did you do that you may regret later? Or what did you do that you know may not have been a good choice? Always bring it back to them. And we as coaches, you have someone who's always saying people like to bring the ghost in the room, other people, other situations, whatever. Our job is to bring them back. Cool, but what about you? Why are you so focused on everybody else? What about you? Your actions, your words, your steps, your decisions. What about you? That's accountability, man. Dependability. When it comes to being a person of responsibility, being dependable. Now, listen to me. I understand. I know my friends know I move all the time. I'm always doing something. I always got my hands in something. I always got my brain wrapped around something. I'm always moving. But I really want to talk to you about dependability when we get back from this break. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winston. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winsome. I joke, one of my friends that was here in the studio as a guest said every time the camera comes back on, it's kind of like our smile goes up with it, right? So I always watch myself doing that. It's kind of funny. But 78.6 FM, when we left, we were talking about dependability. All right, at first we started off with accountability. Accountability is taking ownership of one's actions and their consequences. Taking accountability, ownership of one's actions and consequences, right? So now we're going to talk about dependability. This is following through on commitments and promises. Whew, that's a hard one, man. So let me tell you something. For someone like me who's go, right? And I have friends like that. It's crazy. I surround myself with people who are go-getters or go. Someone like me is hard to stop. So I tell my friends, and I'm very honest with them. I say, hey, if I tell you I'm going to do something, remind me. Because if I forget, I get caught up in something, I don't want you to be mad at me, right? I don't want you to be upset. Because if I give you my word, I want to follow through. But sometimes I get caught up in something because of the way my brain works and the way that my world is set up. You may have to text me, remind me, email me, call me. I don't care, and I won't be mad about it. I won't be mad at you. It's going to help me to make sure that I'm maintaining my accountability and being the dependable person that you need. Like something as small as, hey, can you give me a ride to the airport? Hey, can I come see you? And think about it. What I do as a career advisor. So we have an open door policy all day, every day as a development advisor. So if I say, yes, come see me, feel free, but I have somebody in the room for 45 minutes and somebody's been waiting, they're going to feel like, bro, you told me to come see you. Said I can come see you yesterday at 1 o'clock and now somebody's in your office. I can't control that. So I tell people, call me, text me, email me, remind me, trust me. It helps me stay dependable, and it helps me maintain, if I give you my word on something, that I'm going to do it. And I'm going to tell you, dependability is a two-edged sword, right, or double-edged sword, and I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes you'll tell somebody you'll do something even when you don't feel like it. Man, that's my biggest thing. Like, I have all intentions to go to the other end of the island or to go scuba diving or whatever it is. I may say, yes, sign me up. But then the day of I may have had a horrible week, just a very taxing week, very emotionally or physically or just driven. A lot of brain cells are gone from teaching. And I just get to that point a lot where I'm like, yo, I don't really feel like doing anything today. Yo, you know I got you. When a different Saturday, a different Sunday, please sign me up. But today is just not the day. I'm sorry, but that's the only time that I'll say I just don't feel it because I don't want to fake it. And if I'm spending time with someone else as well, I don't want to give them fake energy. I don't want to be out there forcing myself and then exhausting myself because I know myself. We coming back to self-awareness, right? So a lot of times being dependable might really rely on you setting boundaries as well. And when I mean just saying no, hey, I know that Winston is not a good dude to try to hang out with on Friday nights because he's usually exhausted during the week. Friday nights, he's going to sleep, right? I know not to ask him anything on Saturday morning because he has the radio show. But I want to be dependable. So if somebody asks me something, hey, can we hang out for lunch? I'm like, I'm getting off the radio at 11. So if we're going to do lunch, it's going to have to be like 1 o'clock, etc. These are ways to make sure that the dependability works well for you, is to set those boundaries and not be afraid to say no as well. Make sure you're paying attention to your compass and what you have going on so that you can guide your day, your week, and your plans. And when someone asks you to do something, or if you promise somebody you're going to do something, that you build it in and it works for you as well before you say yes to it. And if I'm not making sense to some of you, I'm sorry. I'm speaking from my experiences on this one, trying not to project onto you. But I will tell you, as a person who is getting older, I'm learning to say no a lot. Because if I got people depending on me for my yeses, I got to really understand when to say no. So I know that's very important now to say, hey, man, I don't know if I can. I don't even want to promise that to you. Just keeping it real. And there's sometimes day of, I'll hear people up in the morning, hey, I really want to. I'm just not feeling it. It's just not me, not today, maybe another time. And then I got to give myself grace for that because what I'm doing is I'm being honest with myself when I do that. And when you're not being honest with yourself, then, you're going to put yourself in some situations. And I need my energy. If y'all like me, as you get older, you need that energy. You need that strength. Hey, dependability, we're talking about being responsible. That's one of the three characteristics, right, of when we're talking about character. And the last one I want to talk about is duty fulfillment, which really ties into a lot of the things we already talked about with accountability and dependability, is getting things done. There's a lot of have tos and can dos for me. And I try to get my have tos out the way. Like even when I get off the show today, as much as I want to just go and be lazy the rest of the day, I still have things I have to do. Leaving here, I need to go to the lighthouse. I have to get the Lighthouse Beacon Awards purchased so I can hand those out next week with my team, right? I have to get online for my friend Lauren from Two Roads Leadership, and I have to get down all the hours and openings people told me they have for our two teaming up collaborations that we have. Those are have-tos for me for today, because I don't want any of these people to think that I'm not dependable to get things done, even though I may have to stress the timeline a little bit because I can't control my week or my days with everything we have going on. I still want to make sure I get it off my plate and get it to the people who have asked for it. Those are those duty, responsibilities, and tasks, right? So the characteristics for when it comes to responsibility is accountability, dependability, and duty fulfillment. And I'm still a work in progress like everybody else, man, but these are some of the things that I know I got to get to. One of the most important topics that we talk about right now, and I definitely want to share with you, is empathy. Because a lot of people don't really understand what that means. I think for the most part, a lot of folks are thinking putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I've heard that a lot. A lot of people don't know the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? I guess empathy is really having a true concern for someone's well-being. And when you say well-being, if individuals don't understand what that is, then they're not going to understand how to have a true and genuine concern for it. So let's break that down first. Someone's well-being, and you guys hear me speaking about the SPIRE model from the Happiness Studies Academy all the time, because it talks about your spiritual, your physical, your intellectual, your relational, and your emotional well-being. When we're talking about mindfulness, your mental well-being, which ties into your spiritual well-being, being able to center yourself, being able to reflect on things, being able to be present, all of these things matter. And how do you make sure that when someone is going through something, that you can stop time for them and meet them where they are? Part of true character is being able to empathize with others and truly care about their well-being. Connecting those meaningful, having those meaningful relationships and meaningful connections that are built on not just, I got to be friends with this guy because I work with him, or I got to know this person because I live next to him. No, based on mutual respect. Imagine that. I'm going to respect you because you respect me. We're going to live whatever and do whatever we got to do together under this umbrella of mutual respect. Being able to do those things and being able to recognize and perceive the emotions in other people when you're talking about empathy. It's not always easy. Think about the cultural dynamics when you're visiting other countries. And you're not always going to know when someone is happy, sad, angry, because there's differences. But when you take the time to try to understand what that looks like in others, oh, that's when that person does that or says that, they're sad. And when that person does that or says that, they're angry. That's empathy, is understanding someone else, what they're going through, what it looks like, perceiving that accurately because you took the time not just to listen, feel, understand, but in a way study those people. And it's crazy because when we talk about emotional intelligence and we deal with these topics, we talk about social awareness and relationship management. You can't have either of those things if you're not taking the time to be an empathetic person. And sometimes to be empathetic means you got to stop time for people. So I really wanted to share that because that's one of the big qualities about being a person of character. So if you guys want to track on what we talked about, it's responsibility, empathy, compassion, showing genuine concern of someone else's well-being. And you can't show genuine concern of someone else's well-being if you don't understand what the well-beings are or what someone's well-being is. And the most important thing about someone else's well-being is not necessarily based on yours. It's what does that person need? to be the best version of them. And a lot of times we get caught up in us. I found myself coaching a lot and saying this and stopping myself because I'm not giving advice in those rooms all the time. Sometimes I got to just listen and ask questions to help someone get to their own answers. And a lot of times I'll say, I don't want to project me on you. So what would you do? What would you say? And those things actually make that person think, I don't want to give you what I would do because you'll run with it. I want to know what you would do based on what you value, based on what you believe in, and based on who you are. And that changes the dynamic for a lot of people because they're like, oh, wow, I got to come up with these answers by myself. Yeah, but it's in you. It's in you. Maybe something you've heard, seen, experienced. The answers are already there. We're just helping you kind of get there with these powerful questions. The crazy thing is, not everyone's values will align with your own. So when I'm asking these questions, I'm not expecting any certain answer anymore. I learned that real quick in coaching. Someone say something, like, whoa, that's their answer? But, you just keep it moving like, oh, right? So realistically, when we're talking about being a person of character, right, we're talking about being someone who takes accountability, responsibility, someone who is able to show and highlight and respond empathetically. Empathy. We got one more, man. Let me see which one this is. It's kind of a big one. The last one is integrity. Goodness. I don't even want to jump into that one too hard yet, man. I kind of want to wait to the last segment. Let's talk about something else. Can I throw the thumb ball around? Can I throw this up to myself? All right. So we're going to do a couple of thumb ball questions because I don't want to jump into integrity. I want to close out with that bad boy, right? So let's throw this one up. Bam. The first question I got, right, if we're throwing this around in the room, how do you inspire others to do their best work? That's a good question. I have a team that I lead on a weekly basis. So I think the number one thing that I try to do is make sure they know I trust them. And I say it to them. I trust you. I believe in you. You got this. And I think sometimes people just need to hear those words, right? Just need to know that somebody believes in them before they even get started, that they trust them to get it done. And I know that's important because I've seen the face and the reaction when someone feels like they've let me down or they didn't get it done based on my specs. And I always tell them, hey, man, give yourself grace. I'm going to give you grace on it because you tried your hardest. Maybe you didn't hit the mark, but you tried. And I know you tried to the best of your ability. So how do I inspire others to be the best version of themselves, I think the question was, or to do whatever? That's how I inspire. Throw this back up. I don't want to cheat on the questions. That one's kind of the same. How would you differentiate a happy place you like to imagine? Ooh, I got a minute and some time. A happy place I like to imagine. Well, my favorite place is the lighthouse, so that makes me happy. I guess when I'm going somewhere in my mind or trying to picture somewhere of happiness, that's kind of it. Another place would be probably some of the places I've been and seen, like Dubai or Australia, some of those places. The lighthouse, Nago, Iajima, climbing to the top of Iajima the mountain. Motubu, whatever the mountain is called up there. You guys know I'm old, so I don't have my phone open on the Gmail or Google. So, yeah, these are the places I go when I need to think of a place, a happy place that I like to imagine. Of all the places that actually made me happy. If long story short, those are places I like to go to and just be like, I can be here for hours, right? You climb to the top of the mountain after a while, your butt starts hurting because it's on the rock, and you got to get up. There's no seats up there, right? 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. We'll be right back. 78.6 FM, positive vibes and wins. I had to lean in a little bit on that one. I couldn't get my smile on, right? Like I usually do. Hey, guys, it's good to be back, man. We talked about some of the points of character, and this is just a quick overview. I'm not going into a deep dive, full-hour lesson on this, just some points. The last one is integrity. Integrity deals with consistency, honesty, and moral principles. Oof. Consistency. So, if you guys don't know me, I'll say this to anyone that cares and loves me and spends a lot of time with me. I am not good with consistently inconsistent people. So I'm going to tell you what that is. If I'm not sure who you're going to be today, I don't want to be around you. And I'm going to say that again. If I'm not sure how you're going to be when I walk in and see you on a Monday morning, I'm going to avoid you. Because you might have been happy on Wednesday. You were kind of on Friday. I'm not sure what I'm getting on Monday. Those are the people I avoid. Sorry, it's real. It's been like that for me with relationships. It's been like that for me with friendships, coworkers, bosses. I don't do consistently inconsistent people. I want to be a consistent person. And when it comes to being a consistent person, I know as a leader, as a friend, as a father, as a teammate, I want to be consistent. I don't want people to worry about what they're getting today. I want people to know that I'm going to give them the same energy every time, unless I'm just beat up and just dead dog tired and can't, right? That means I need to recharge my battery. But that's why it's so important for me to do it, because I know there's an expectation and there's a trust that comes with every time somebody walks to my door. So consistency is so important, because those consistently inconsistent people are the folks that no one wants to talk to on a daily basis, or they don't want to go to them when they have options. They want to go to that person that they know is going to give them what they need. It's not a question. I avoid it like the plague. If you know me, you've known this about me. And it's funny because we tell stories about those people. We honestly do. We tell stories about those bosses that you don't know if they've had a good day or a bad day, or if they've had a good night or a bad night the night before. For me, that goes back to my childhood. And if y'all know my story, you know that I had an alcoholic mother who we never knew what the day was going to bring, what the energy was going to be like in the house coming home from school. There was times we stay out as long as we could, and I love my mom. I mean, don't even get it twisted. It's not a woe is me story. It's just realistically, I think for me, my story started there, to where I'm like, I identified in people. If I can't tell who you're going to be tomorrow, you're not somebody I'm coming to or want to deal with. If I don't know what I'm getting, I'm not trying to deal with it. So consistency is so important. I love it being the NCO or the senior NCO now in my day job that people come to. I loved it in my previous responsibilities. Everywhere I've gone, I've always enjoyed being the person that people felt comfortable coming to at all times, for all situations. And if I didn't know the answer, I would try to help them find it. That's all you can do. That's part of being a consistent person. That's part of that integrity piece. Honesty. And let me tell you, so you start appreciating honesty a lot different the older you get. Sometimes brutal honesty is the best, right? Some people who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I realized that while I'm being that consistent person, that I can't switch on that. I got to be honest with people and tell them. We were talking just a little while ago about setting boundaries. And if you're honest with others, you're also really good at being honest with yourself. That's that self-awareness piece that we always dive into. So I know me. I know when I'm tired. I know when I don't feel like getting up and doing something. I know when I leave the radio, I just don't feel like doing certain things that I may have had planned for my day. And, you know, I'm an excited person. I get excited about things. So I'll sign myself up for a couple of things. And I'm like, let me take that off the list, But I'm honest with myself. And when I'm honest with myself, it makes it a lot easier to be honest with others. Hey, I'm not feeling that today. Hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. That's just not a me thing right now. Or I'm not there, right? Have you ever had that conversation with someone? You tell them, hey, man, I'm just trying to get my thought process together. I'm just not there. I'm not going to be there for that. I don't want to even put myself in that situation. One of my teammates told me the other day, he said, hey, man, my brain is foggy today. So my expectation from that point was like, okay, this dude's trying to get his thoughts together, and he is. He's got a lot going on. My man is transitioning to a new base. We got this craziness going on next week. We have all these visitors. We have a lot of stuff going on at work. He's in school at night. He's got kids. So he's all over the place right now with a lot of the biggest stressors in the world. Finances, you got to buy a new house, new car. So when he says something to me, like my brain is foggy, and a lot of people just be like, oh, this dude's dealing with something. He's probably having a moment right now. But for me, I took that very serious. Like, my brother is telling me he's got a lot going on. And I told him, I said, bro, I hear you. But I've also been listening to you over the past couple of weeks. I'm be honest with you because right now I think you're trying to be honest with me and you're trying to make it so I can understand what you're dealing with. So I took it back to, let's go back to empathy. I said, bro, you are transitioning. One of the highest stresses for anybody, transitioning from one location to another. You got to buy a new car. You got to buy a new house. That's financial stress on top of that. You're in class in the evening time. That's mental stress on top of that. You got 2 kids you got to take care of when you first get home before you get to school at night, which you're working on your PhD. So it's an upper level degree. All of these things tie into why your mind might be foggy right now. You got to maintain that balance with work and life and with your family. Make sure you have a lot going on, right? So when you're communicating that, and I'm being very honest with him because he was trying to be honest with me about it. When you're able to do that, that's where we get back into the phone when a little note I had about that mutual respect. Listen to how all these concepts tie in together, right? Accountability, honesty, integrity, empathy. Did you hear the empathy in that? When I listened to my friend, even though he didn't say all of the words, I've been listening up to the whole time to be able to help him break down the components of why his mind might be foggy at the end of this day. It's things that a lot of people don't pick up on. It's because a lot of people haven't been paying attention. And a lot of people in the world today are selfish. So when these conversations are happening throughout the day and sporadically, they're not listening unless it has something to do with them. And that's what we got to change the narrative. That's why being a person of character involves all of those things to include responsibility, integrity, and empathy. Because when you're a person of character, people see that these are the things they can expect from you whenever they come to you because you are a consistent person. Because you aren't flip-flopping. Because you're not trying to chase a carrot that's dangling out here, so you're rejecting the feelings, thoughts, and emotions of others. Know that you are always accessible, that you're going to be honest even when it hurts. You're going to set boundaries and tell somebody when you can and can't do something, even it may hurt their feelings, but you're being honest with them, and they know what to expect because you're consistent. Honesty, integrity. Come on, man. All of these things tie in together when it comes to being a person of character, and these are the things that me and the people who I keep in my circle, I look for. And these are people we try to surround ourselves with, people of character. I only hit 3. I can have a whole list of different points for looking for these things and being this person of character. But man, accountability, empathy, integrity, being true to yourself first so that you can be true to others. Indeed, be empathetic, meet people where they are, try to understand, make those connections with them, be genuinely caring about their well-being. And we get so caught up in the day, and I wrap up usually hit my teammates up, and I always try to tell them on the weekends, hey man, I love y'all. I've seen you this week moving. And I hit them up with all the different things that I paid attention to throughout the week that I saw them doing because I want them to see, I see you. You are seen, valued, and heard. And this isn't being a leader of character. This is being a person of character, somebody who loves unconditionally. I'm loving on you. You don't have to love on me the same way because I know when I show up, you know what to expect. That's me. That's my story. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winston. Today we talked about all the thank yous to everybody supporting all the stuff that we've built over this past year and a half. And then we're ending with being a person of character. What that really means. I can't wait to hear from you and see some messages, and we'll talk about more next week. You are loved. There's nothing you can do about it.